Oh, there we go. All right, here we go. So I just got done with a good journaling session, and I just feel like somebody needs this word today. So I am going to try to speak it the best that I can using my journaling session as my notes. Completely impromptu, not really about finances, but it does go hand in hand. So one thing I've been trying to do is like take a verse and meditating on it for the entire week, just because I am someone, I don't really do what I need to do to make sure certain scriptures are kind of marinating and I am truly understanding. And one place that I just continue to go back to is when the scripture is like, do you want to get well? And the man is basically saying, I try, and every time I try, someone goes ahead of me, and he's been there for years. I mean, like 20 plus years. And finally, Jesus is like, you know, get up, pick up your mat, and go. But what really sticks out to me is when he's like, do you want to get well? So I feel like this always sticks out to me because this was me. Like, I was that person who was always laying on her mat, and I did not realize like why things weren't happening for me and why things were not changing. And I feel like we are often the kiss of death when it comes to our financial goals, our personal goals, just any type of goals that we have in life. You know, it's January right now. We all have our goals. We're all saying that it's going to be our year, but a lot of us are starting out laying on our mats. And unfortunately, when it comes to December 31st of 2023, a lot of us are still going to be laying on our mats. And I don't think that we really realize that our trauma, our pain, our experiences, our fears, our disappointments, all of those things that that the mat symbolizes, we're laying on. And we don't realize that we have the power and authority to get up. And I say this because nothing really changed for me until I had that realization that like I was unwell. I was laying on my mat of anxiety, fear, you know, sins, all of that. I was laying on my mat, and yet I was looking at everyone else who was getting up and going before me and wondering like, how the heck are they getting ahead of me? Why am I still in this place? Like, why am I still having this illness? Why is nothing happening for me? And it was because I was letting other people's opinions, my fears, my doubts, my self-limiting beliefs be my cause of demise. Like, I was bound to my mat. And I know that a lot of people, like if you're watching right now, let me know in the comments. If you have a goal, especially a financial goal, and you're working towards it, something is going to pop up and happen. Like your car breaks down, you know, maybe you have a new expense that pops up. You know, we always come up with these reasons as to why we cannot continue to walk to our vision. And in turn, we are shackling ourselves to our mat. And everyone else who gets this realization and actually moves their feet, they get up and walk, they're going ahead of us. And then we sit back and we look at them and we're like baffled, and we have some anger and resentment. I remember looking at these people who were hitting these financial goals and doing these certain things in life, and I'm like, I have some envy towards that. I'm resentful and I'm angry, and I did not realize the power and authority that I had over my life to speak over these things and to get up, roll that shit up like a yoga mat and get to step in. And I know that it's easier said than done, right? Like I said in my discipline video, when things are new, we're going to fight ourselves against those things. Like, we're so used to our pain and our trauma that it's become a norm. And yeah, we don't like this life that we're living, but it's normal. We know what it feels like. Like, I know what it feels like to be single and lonely, right? I knew what it felt like to be struggling financially. I knew what it felt like to be drowning in debt, but I didn't know what it felt like to start paying off debt. I didn't know what it felt like to have a padded savings. I didn't know what it felt like to have, like a healthy relationship with someone. And that was scary. And so I just laid on my mat. Like I did not get up and try to walk towards it. And anything that popped up, I used that as a reason to justify why I should continue to lay there and watch other people go ahead of me. And when I'm saying this, like, I'm not naive to the fact that when it comes to the starting line, a lot of us are placed differently. Some people are, placed closer. Some people are placed way, way, way in the back. Not everyone has equal access to resources and opportunities. Life is harder for a lot of people. Your path may be harder than the next person. Is that fair? Absolutely not. It's not fair. But when you take on that perspective, that's literally all you're focusing on. You're not focusing on the vision that God has promised you. You're not focusing on your goals. You're focusing on everything that is going to get in your path. You're focusing on every reason why you're behind this specific person and they had, a better starting position than you. And when you do that, yes, you're not going to make it, because when these certain detours or what should be detours come in your path, you see them as a dead end. And I will say, like, being a person on a single income, like I started my debt-free journey low income, what has truly helped me, and I feel like what baffles people about my story so much, that they say that, I must be getting child support, or you've had some help, you had somebody else help you, or anything, trying to justify why this person was able to do this specific thing, even though they have these specific circumstances. One thing that has truly helped me was like realizing that I had the power and authority to continue to move my feet. If I got up, despite my circumstances and my placement on the track when it came to the starting line, if I got up, right, and I walked towards it, I would be a hell of a lot better off and a hell of a lot closer to my vision than where I would be if I just stayed back and I continued to lay on my mat. Now, was I exempt from, certain obstacles that were thrown in my way? No. And I always describe it like this. When you have a specific goal or a specific vision that you have been given, that you can't shake no matter what, you can't shake this vision, daydreaming about this thing about yourself, and what you want your life to be like, right? So when you have that specific vision, you can almost expect for certain things to be thrown in your path. And that's not because you have a specific goal. It's kind of like we say these jokes like, don't talk about doing good so loud because your car might hear you and start breaking down. I don't think it's that at all. I see it as like, when you have somewhere to be, right? Maybe you're running late to work. You have somewhere to be. You start noticing all those damn red lights. You start noticing like it's a lot more red lights than I had remembered. But that's because you're laser focused on getting to this specific place. You're focused on getting to this specific destination. Whereas if you were just freely driving, you don't really have a specific place to be, or you don't have to be at this specific place at a specific time, or maybe you have more time. You're more at ease, you're more relaxed, and you don't really notice those red lights as much. It just seems that, certain lights, or maybe all the lights, are green and you just kind of breezed your way to this place. But when you're running late, you catch all of the red lights and stop signs. Now, does that mean that those red lights and stop signs weren't there before? No, it just means that you're laser focused. So anticipate things coming into your path when you have these specific goals for your life, and it does not have to be just financial. But it seems to be like you start noticing certain things going wrong when it's financial, because it's taking from, you know, what you need to put towards that goal. Expect these things. Expect certain things to be thrown in your path when you are trying to get to a specific destination, but don't see these things as a dead end. See them as a detour. And that is how I truly, truly believe, right hand to God, that I have been able to get to certain places in life and continue to elevate, is because I'm dead set on my vision. I'm dead set on getting to this specific place. And yes, I'm noticing, I'm picking up on all of these things that go wrong, but I see them as a detour. Like, the vision remains the same, but the route that you have, you may have to take a detour. You may have to take a different path. Does that mean that, you know, the destination is not going to be as good as you thought it would be when you get there? No, it just means that it may take a little bit more time, but do not change the destination. One big piece of advice I will give to anyone who is listening is to please leave space and grace for you to pivot. Allow yourself to pivot. Allow the destination, the route to your destination, to be altered, but do not allow anyone, including yourself, to change the vision that God has truly placed in your heart. Because if He's placed it in your heart and He's giving you that vision, you have the provision to get to it, sis. You have the provision. You have what you need. But one thing that's going to really make or break your ability to get to that vision is your ability to pivot and accept changes or detours, aka things blowing up your plans. Take on those plans with a sense of, okay, I'm going to handle this really quickly, or it may take a little while longer, it just depends on what it is, but I still have this main vision or goal that I am going to work towards. Handle what has happened on the side and get right back to it. Like in my debt-free journey, I went into debt about 3 to 4 different times. I've told the story a million different times, but mainly on Instagram. I went into more debt on a debt-free journey. I was going into more debt. Car started coughing. My son had to get admitted into the hospital for a week. So I'm having, hospital bills being thrown left and right. And I had to pivot many, many times. But the first time that this has happened, I prepped myself mentally. Like, if shit hits the fan, sis, we gotta keep the destination. God has continued to place debt freedom and me having financial stability so that I can do certain things and be a blessing to His people. He has placed it on my heart, and I have got to figure out a way to keep moving my feet, to pick up my mat, pick up every single thing that has been thrown in my way, and to continue to move my feet and walk. And that is how you cure that illness that is keeping you laying down on your mat of whatever that mat symbolizes. Allow space and grace for detours, but do not change the vision. And one thing that has really led me to turn on the camera and just say that is that you guys have been watching my journey to getting my duplex. If you've been here from the beginning, you've seen my journey where I said I was going to get a duplex, and then I changed my mind because I let fear and doubt keep me laying on my mat. And then I rolled that mat back up. I said, I got up and I walked, because if God tells me to get up and walk, like He told that man in the scripture, if He tells you to get up and walk, that means you have the power and authority to get up and walk, because God has given you that power and authority over your life. And so I picked up the yoga mat or whatever it is, and I walked again, and I'm like, I can't shake this vision. I can't shake the fact or the feeling that this is where God is leading me, and I'm afraid, I'm terrified. I have a lot of fear. I have a lot of doubts. I have a lot of people, putting their fears and limiting beliefs and limitations on me based on their experiences, which have absolutely nothing to do with me. But I'm going to pick up my mat and I'm going to walk, because every single time I've done that, at, God has never left me. He has never led me astray. He has always been right there. I've always had the provision. I've had everything that I needed. I just couldn't see it because I was too busy laying on my mat, watching what everyone else was doing, watching other people get up and walk towards healing. And then when I figured out that that was what was keeping me stuck, and I got back on the path to buying the duplex, you guys have seen that it's been a journey. But I'm excited to announce that I found a property. And let me tell you how picking up your mat and walking in fear, picking up your fears, your limitations, your doubts, your experiences, your circumstances, whatever people have placed on you and you've placed on yourself, it will all work out, and God will reward you if you walk with him even through the pits of hell. So I find this property, I put in an offer. Now I've had every offer rejected, and actually let me preface this a little bit. So with the duplex, I reach out to someone I see as a mentor. He has over $1 million portfolio, right? So this is my testimony. He has over $1 million portfolio. And I tell God, check my ego. Please check my heart posture, Father. Check my ego, because it's going to be that ego that really keeps you from getting to that vision. It's going to put you in a place that God has not ordained for you, or it's going to keep you from that place that he has prepared for you. So I'm like, check my heart posture, check my ego, because my ego was all up and through that process. And I was real enough with myself to call myself out on it. And so I'm like, okay, I'm going to ask him. You know, the market's crazy. Multifamilies are just scarce. And I had an FHA loan, and I'm starting to realize I'm being discriminated against because of the loan. And I know a lot of us, especially if you are a Black person or a Black woman or a woman of color or whatever, we're always picking up on when we're being discriminated against. Now, this is a loan. This has nothing to do, with race. But I'm saying when it comes to the finish line, once again, or the starting line, a lot of us are placed differently on the track. And unfortunately, we do have a lack of resources and opportunities still in this world. So anyway, I'm realizing that I'm being discriminated against in some type of way. And I asked him about it. I told him to be real with me, and he said, I'm sitting down with you and I see you as, I'm going to talk to you as my little sister. I'm going to keep it honest. And he's like, with an FHA loan, your offers are bottom of the sack. I'm like, okay. Multifamilies are just inventory is low for those. Okay, I see that. Remember, I prayed to God to check my ego and my heart posture. He says, okay, my honest thoughts, and I told him, tell me your honest thoughts about my plan. He says to switch the plan. Remember, the vision stays the same. Switch the plan to single family. Do that for a year, rinse and repeat. Then in your third year, buy multifamily. Because right now, multifamilies are going like hotcakes. There's not a lot of them, and investors are buying them up in cash. And with my FHA being discriminated against by the sellers and, whatever, for some reason, I was bottom of the barrel, and it was just, I didn't stand a chance. I didn't cry. I didn't cry for once because I had already prayed on it. And I'm like, okay, God, you did not bring me this far to leave me. You have never led me astray. You've given me the vision. I've asked you to check my ego and my heart posture. This is yet another detour. Another detour to my destination. Now envision this. You put in your vision or your goal. That's your destination in the GPS. Sometimes certain paths are congested. They have a lot of traffic, or maybe there's some construction going on. So you have to make a detour. but you still have that in your mind that you're going to the same exact place. And so that is how I'm going through this process. So I find a home, put an offer in, finally accepted, even though someone had offered more than me. They accepted it, switched the loan to conventional, and lo and behold, my agent is like, oh, this property is eligible for rural development where you have no down payment required. So your girl has no down payment required. We asked the seller to pay closing costs. They pay closing costs. So I'm expected to just come out of pocket $400 after the seller credit or whatever they call it. But yeah, and I feel okay saying that because once again, what is for me is for me. What God has for me is for me. I asked him for a miracle, specifically in my good old journal. Oh, excuse me, there's tissue. But in my good old journal, I asked him for a miracle right before I went on a 1-week fast. I felt just the glory of him hard and heavy, and I feel like this is my week. So I made an offer the same day I went to see it, knowing in my head like this is an investment, and they accepted it the same day, which is amazing and mind-blowing. So they accepted it the same day with no down payment, pretty much no closing costs. I asked God for a miracle, check my ego, and he really truly showed out. And it's because I picked up my mat and I kept walking, and everything that I have done over these past few years I feel like led up to this moment, and it all makes sense. And I thank God that I'm walking towards his vision, aka my healing, so that I'm not laying in my sickness and things that mean me no good. Yes, certain things suck in life. Yeah, certain things aren't fair, certain traumas that we have, certain experiences that we have. When we try to do good, it seems like bad always comes. But expect that. Expect that, sis. Expect it. See it as a detour. Continue to add that weight to your mat. But pick it up and keep walking. And I promise you, you will get to the promised land, aka your vision. So I hope that this helps someone today. I know it was a little out of the norm. And going into this process, child, am I about to cry? No, I'm not gonna do it. No, but going into this process, my only concern, I have no fear. No more fear. No more fear, because God's hand is all in it. He's all on me. And even if, whoever you pray to, the divine, get in alignment. Tap in with the divine regularly. You got this. He's giving you the provision. You just have to get up off your mat. Do you want to get well? Do you want to get well? Don't lay there. Continue to lay there. Get up and start walking. You are healed. You have your healing in you. You have everything you need within you. So I just pray, my last prayer over this whole process is not, whether the deal's going to go through or whatever else. It's that God does not allow me to become complacent in this place. Even though I want to decorate it and get all my renovations so that I can really make an investment when I move out after a year, I'm praying to God and I'm meditating on, Father, please do not let me get complacent in what I prayed for, because this is not my final destination. This is an investment. This is only a year. I don't want to get complacent and forget all the things that I have had to do and endure to get to this place. And so that is my last, prayer to myself in this process right now. And my prayer to you is that, once again, sis, if you want to be well, get up, take your mat, and walk.